All right, so for the past few years, my main camera has been the Sony FX3. It's an absolute beast of a camera. It is full frame. It has all the cinema features. It's really good in low light, and it's basically every YouTuber, filmmaker, content creator's dream camera. But here's a problem that I was having with the Sony FX3. Over time, it was just a little too much camera for the things that I want to do on an everyday basis in terms of vlogging, bringing my camera around to dinners, events, and things like that, where I don't need to have a super professional look. And so what I did was I actually downsized to a smaller camera, the Sony A7C II. And sometimes less is actually more because this is so much smaller. It's still a full frame camera, 33 megapixels, which I can take better pictures now. It's so much more compact. It can fit in the palm of my hand, and I can actually just create more and be more consistent because I can just put this in a bag or my backpack and pull it out and not have this big old clunky FX3. I know it's like a first world problem to have, especially having a camera that does anything and everything I want it to do. So yeah, one of the biggest differences that I got the Sony A7C II is just the size difference. And so this is the Sony FX3 and this is the Sony A7C II, just smaller form factor. If you can take a look, this is obviously a lot heavier and this is a lot lighter. When I pair the Sony FX3 with something like, you know, a 24 to 70, this can start to add some weight and a little bit bigger when I'm out in public and just trying to vlog with it. And even when I have, you know, a 35 mil, which is a little bit smaller and lightweight, it's still pretty big in my hand. And sometimes I just don't like to bring a big camera out in public. You know, I also have a Laowa 10 millimeter, which can get really wide, great for vlogging, and it's much more lightweight. But the main thing really wasn't the lenses, it was the camera body. And so that's when I kind of thought I needed something smaller, and then I got the Sony A7C II. Now, obviously I wanted to downsize a little bit, so I got a smaller camera body, but that means I also wanted a smaller camera lens. And so I wanted a wide field of view, a low focal length in terms of just being able to vlog and hold it at arm's length. And so I chose the Sony 16 millimeter f1.8. This actually just released last year. It's so light. It's the lightest probably camera lens that I have, and it's the shortest in terms of the length. And so this paired with the Sony A7C II has been a beast. I've only had it for a very short amount of time, but this combination is, I think, perfect for vlogging. So let's go to a quick unboxing. Man, I love me a good cup of coffee. But let me talk about the Sony FX3 real quick. I am not selling this camera. I am keeping it. This is what I use for all of my client work, professional work, conferences, events. talking head clients. This is so good, all the customizable features. It just has a professional feel to it. One of the reasons, again, why I am downsizing, I want to vlog more. I want to be able to document life. I remember I was just like on the couch with my wife going through our hard drives of, you know, middle school, high school, how I used to bring a camera around with me everywhere. And I feel like I kind of got into this space where everything is client work and nothing is personal work, nothing is my life, nothing is documenting. And I got to a point where I didn't really want to bring this around with me because of how bulky it is. And that's why I'm switching to the Sony A7C II, which I'm filming with right now using the 16mm f1.8. So when it comes to downsizing to a smaller camera, what am I giving up? A couple things that I'm giving up is the internal fan. I really love the Sony FX3 and FX30 because it has a fan inside of the camera that allows me to shoot for long periods of time, whether I'm shooting a podcast, if I'm at a long conference, or if I have a 4-hour client shoot where I literally have the camera on the whole time. The downside of having the Sony A7C II is that there is no fan. And I remember when I first unboxed it, I was testing it out for the first 30 minutes and I already felt the camera heating up in my hands. And that's kind of the downside of having a smaller camera with no fans, is if I'm gonna be out and about filming myself, it could overheat. Another thing that I'm losing with the A7C II is tally lights. What I love about the Sony FX3 is that when I press record, there are lights in front of the camera that blink red when I'm recording. And now I am literally recording and I have to flip the LCD screen and I can barely see it and there's no lights telling me if I'm recording. Now I know I'm recording right now, but if I were out vlogging and I'm vlogging myself, or if I set my camera on a tripod and I walk across wherever I'm going, I'm kind of banking on that I'm recording. So the tally lights, I feel like, do make a big difference, knowing that I'm not gonna miss the shot. Another thing that I'm gonna be missing out on with a smaller camera is the durability and the feel of a bigger camera in my hand. When I hold the Sony FX30 and the FX3, it just feels good. Like the bigger grip, I know that this is a solid camera. When I first unboxed the Sony A7C II, it did feel like a tiny old camera in my hand and it felt a little flimsy, to be honest. But really, when it comes to vlogging, I have to ask myself, do these things even really matter? And when I was about to buy the Sony A7C II, none of those really mattered to me because I just wanted to be able to consistently create, pull out, you know, the camera out of my pocket, my backpack, my shoulder strap, and just be able to press record and create without anything hindering me. Now, another question I had to ask myself is, if I have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which I purposely got for vlogging, and honestly, I don't use it as much as I thought I was gonna use it, why am I gonna buy a whole new camera? And honestly, that's a great question that I had to ask myself, and maybe I had to convince myself, but for some reason, even though the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is a beast of a camera, there's nothing like holding an actual camera body in your hand and using it and vlogging with it. I just didn't really feel like I maximized the use of a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Now, if I'm gonna go travel and I'm gonna go to Mexico and Hawaii at the end of the year, I'm definitely gonna be bringing this. But when it's daily vlogging, for some reason, I just want the feel of a camera. Is it just me? Let me know if you're the same way. Okay, I do want to talk about pricing real quick because it does matter. Everyone's budget is a little bit different. At the time of shooting this video, the Sony A7C II brand new is about $2,400 to $2,500 just for the body alone. So when I was looking on Amazon, I actually bought a used version. And I'm not gonna lie, when I got it in the mail, I was kind of nervous because of how banged up the box was. I just had a feeling that it was not gonna be in a good condition, but I unboxed it and it honestly looks very new. So I bought it for about $2,000, so about $400, $500 off. Now for the lens, I knew I wanted a wide focal length. 16mm was really good, and Sony just came out with the Sony 16mm f1.8. I was looking for a used one on Amazon, but because I think it's still brand new, I think it released like April 2025 or something like that, there wasn't many options for a used version. But I just spent the $800 for the lens, and so altogether it was about a $2,800 investment. Now I do have the Sony ZV-E10, which is a compact Sony camera, And this is actually my first Sony camera that I got. I used it for anything and everything content creation. It is an APS-C camera, so it's not full frame. The quality isn't as the same, but it's actually the same form factor, same size as the Sony A7C II. Can I just use this for my daily vlogs? Not really daily, because I don't think I'm gonna do daily vlogs, but can I just use this for the form factor of it and just have gotten the Sony 16mm brand new lens onto this? Yes, but the Sony 16mm is a full frame lens. If I put it on an APS-C camera, it's not 16mm anymore. It actually crops into about 24mm because it has a 1.5 times crop. And for some reason, the Sony ZV-E10 was great if I were to put it on a tripod and film YouTube videos with it, or maybe a podcast. But this camera is not really great for photos either. Now, honestly, I still use the Sony ZV-E10 Mark I. I love this thing. I use it for my top-down shots for my YouTube videos. I use it as a third camera whenever I need to do a 3-camera podcast setup. This is the wide shot that I do. But now that I have the Sony A7C II, I'm actually gonna replace this camera, the Sony ZV-E10 Mark I, as my wide shot for a 3-camera podcast setup. All right, what are my final thoughts, and is it worth it downsizing cameras? Well, I'm still gonna be keeping the Sony FX3 for all of my professional work, my client work, also YouTube videos, but I think the Sony A7C II really just takes the cake when it comes to portability, being able to vlog with it, bringing it with me anywhere and everywhere, and still having the camera feel kind of like what I talked about with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It didn't really feel like I had a camera, and putting it out in front of me just felt weird in public. So I think this is gonna be worth it. It's still full frame. I'm able to use all my full frame lenses on it. The 16mm f1.8 is so buttery clean and has a wide focal length, and it's really great for low lights. And even paired up with the Sony A7C II, it's still super lightweight. So both cameras are great and both have each uses. But if you like this video, or if you have a Sony FX30 or FX3 and you want to downsize, let me know what camera you are even planning on getting. But in my opinion, the Sony A7C II is a great choice. Well, thanks for watching this video. I hope that provided some value. Well, thanks for watching this video. I really liked this kind of style where I just talk to the camera. I love making these kinds of videos, whether it's gear related, lifestyle, tips and tricks, because if you watch my YouTube history, it's a lot of these kinds of videos, and I really just want to create the kind of videos that I love watching. So leave a comment in the description of what you thought about the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.